Good afternoon, Mark Sutton with HurricaneTrack.com here with your hurricane outlook and discussion for Tuesday, August 7th, 2012. Tropics continue to be busy here as we round out the first full week of August. Obviously, Tropical Storm Ernesto, will it become a hurricane? That's the question, I guess, on a lot of people's minds, especially down along the eastern part of the Yucatan Peninsula. Then we have the leftovers of Florence here, trying to make a little bit of a comeback. And then 92L sitting out here in the eastern Atlantic. That might develop over time. It's pretty elongated, low pressure area, and still has a lot of dry air around it. In fact, you can see, even on this satellite shot here, the outline of that Saharan air layer as it comes out off of Africa and tries to envelop these systems and keep them from developing. A visible satellite shot of the good deal of the Atlantic Basin. These are the Cape Verde Islands over here. Then we have 92L, fairly low latitude. It'll move west for a while, and we'll see what happens with it as it gets towards increasingly more favorable conditions. Then we have the leftovers of Florence, and we'll certainly keep an eye on this. These sort of small innocuous systems can end up in a region that suddenly becomes favorable and blossom rather quickly, so you never take your eye off of something like a Florence. And then we have Ernesto, and I think you can even see here on this satellite shot still some evidence of dry air. If we zoom in, the western side still eroded away from some dry air getting in there, collapsing that convection. But look at this band wrapping around into a fairly compact central dense overcast, just a fancy way of saying a nice round blob of showers and thunderstorms, convective activity. Notice too that the size of the storm has definitely increased since its beginning. Very large circulation overall, and different bands of showers and thunderstorms coming in here, even to the resort areas of the northeast part of the Yucatan, Cancun and Cozumel. Give it a day and a half, and this should be inland. Actually, the forecast does keep it out of Belize proper, the center of it, now obviously north of Belize and on a west-northwest track. And then it should bend back down to the west and west-southwest a little bit, that Belize should escape the actual landfall. It'll be more along the true Mexican side of the Yucatan Peninsula here. Looking at water vapor imagery, pretty moist overall, but there's still just enough low to mid-level dry air sitting in here to impede rapid development of Ernesto. There is the leftovers of Florence trying to sneak on in. But nothing in the Gulf to worry about, nothing in the southwest Atlantic right now, as we're still only about a week away from the true lid coming off, and I'll talk about that before we wrap things up. Forecast track, as I mentioned, it does miss Belize proper. Tropical storm warnings now up all the way to the resort areas of Mexico, Cancun, Cozumel, and then of course tropical storm warnings here along the southeast bay of Campeche as Ernesto tracks across. We want it to get on in and get on out. Let's don't have it stall out and dump 20-30 inches of rain across this region. Hopefully this 5-day forecast, speed-wise, will verify and it can die out over Mexico and not be a big rain threat. Remember that freshwater flooding from tropical cyclones, a big killer, especially in Central America. We saw that with Mitch in 1998 down in Honduras, and we don't want to have a repeat of that. So let's get this Ernesto in and out as quickly as possible. And like I mentioned, this area, the resort areas, give it just about 24 to 36 hours, and Ernesto will be enough out of the way that if you have plans to vacation down there, it'll be just fine. Nothing else coming in the next several days. Beyond that time, however, if we look at the MJO, the Madden-Julian Oscillation, this period of favorable upward motion in the atmosphere, divergence aloft that allows for the air in the tropics to rise efficiently, right here is where it is, kind of non-existent in this circle, is one way to look at it. It's very complicated, so I'm going to try to break it down as easy to understand as I can. Then it starts to amplify and gets out here into region 1, which according to some research that's out there, namely from Dr. Phil Klotzbach at Colorado State University, this region, when the MJO pulse is favorable, in region 1, and especially when it's amplified, you typically have an increase in tropical cyclone activity and intensity, because that phase of the MJO being out in this region supports enhanced tropical convection, that upward motion that I was mentioning. And the GFS here, the GFS ensemble, which is a group of models run all at the same time, if you take the average of that, this green line, you definitely see a good amplification, a decent amplification of the MJO coming into the middle and latter part of August. So we're going to have to watch and see as these different candidates for development over Africa here line up and move off in the coming days and weeks, coinciding right around the time that the MJO is supposed to be favorable across the Atlantic Basin. And if we look at the Saharan air layer, this product from the University of Wisconsin, the southern edge of it is getting farther north. All of these tropical waves here straddling about 12 degrees of latitude, and they'll move right off and start to try to develop. This will start to abate even more. Even a week from now, it'll make a big difference. Typically August the 15th is what many look at as the traditional start of the Cape Verde season, the heart of the hurricane season. And we're a little bit ahead of that, as you know, because we've now had Ernesto formed from a Cape Verde wave, Florence formed way out here near the Cape Verde Islands. We have this system trying to flourish, and then more activity lined up over Africa. So it looks like a very busy August coming up. Will it last into September? Hey, I don't have a crystal ball that is that good, so we'll just have to wait and see. Well, there you go. You're up to date on the tropics for today, the 7th of August. And again, the big story being Ernesto. Hopefully, it won't rapidly intensify before landfall. And then the rest of the tropics, even though it's busy, nothing to worry about in the coming days. Again, I am Mark Sudduth. Obviously, the website, hurricanetrack.com. And I do appreciate you supporting our work by purchasing this app. And I hope these videos help you out each day in knowing what's going on out there. That being said, I'll have another video blog for you tomorrow.